I need friends. I don't think I've seen a movie in the theaters where I wanted to go back and watch it in my whole life. I'm too lazy for that. But I actually watched this one twice. I think that the Rock is cute. I like The Rock. But I think the best part about Project Hail Mary, what speaks to me is its message about friendship. It shows what having a real friend can do for you. It's a book made for science nerds. A movie made for science nerds. You see the story of a man who is willing to look inside his heart and change because he loves somebody else. I don't know, it just hits different. Doing what was right never was so fun. It was really fun. It was just a fun movie, dang it. We've got a lot of good things to say about Project Hail Mary. Stick around.
We're actually not trying to ride the hype. It's just,
It actually is good.
yeah, it's just good. And we watched it and enjoyed it. So we're going to be talking about the book and the movie together, similar.
So you probably didn't watch the Harry Potter one that we did.
Yeah, I was trying to remember which one it was. It was Harry Potter.
How it gets mixed in there.
Yeah.
I do also want to add, for my own integrity's sake, to prove that I'm not just riding the hype of that. Levi actually did give this to me before we were going to watch the movie just because he liked the book. And it was very good. I will warn y'all now that this will be a spoiler of both the books and the movies, so be aware of that.
I think in general, because as I've said before, I have like some things spoilers are more severe than others. I think going into the book spoiler free is one of my favorite like blind reading experiences I've had.
Yeah.
It seems like the movie has less of that effect, but the book, if you can go into the book not knowing anything about it, I think that's an absolute delight of an experience, and that's how I read it. I think that's how you read it too.
Oh, not quite, because I saw the trailers for the movie and it spoiled. Yeah. So go ahead and click off if you don't want spoilers. But in the meantime, so we'll get into our ratings for the book and the movie. I don't know. Maybe even doing it separately might be fun.
Under normal circumstances, I would say yes, but I feel like my opinions of the book and the movie are close enough that I don't need to make the distinction.
That's true. I would say that this was a very good, faithful depiction of what was in the book and this movie. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. So out of 11, I'm kind of feeling like a 10.
Okay. No, that's pretty good. That's pretty accurate, I would say. 10, I like that number. As fun as it is to disagree, 10 sounds really accurate. And I wouldn't go all the way and say it was perfect, but it was just really fun. It also kind of reawakened me to remember that it's important to have fun when you are participating in fiction. And fun is also part of the learning about how to be a good person process.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such an interesting mix of like fun and like serious and impactful. Like we were talking about this before we recorded, but it's the balance of like tones and vibes seems like it shouldn't work because it seems like it's taking on two very contrasting tones at the same time. And somehow it worked, at least for me. I really enjoyed the lighthearted kind of buddy adventure vibe of it, and then just like the very bleak doomsday vibe of it happening at the same time somehow.
I agree. It's good at getting the science across. I've never experienced understanding the science in something that well. That was a particular highlight of this book for me. It was just that through it all, you could understand what they were talking about. And in the movie, I watched it having read the book, so I don't know if that affects how I saw it, but it was very entertaining to understand the ideas that were being said. And it was good enough I couldn't tell if he was totally capping about the entire thing. It wouldn't have mattered because I just thought it was fun.
Yeah, I'm really not much of a science buff. That's never been a topic that I've been like super interested in or like to any stretch of the imagination. So the fact that I not only followed, because the book has a lot of science talk. If you haven't read Fitch, there's a lot of science talk in the book. And not only did I follow it mostly, I like enjoyed it and was engaged by it. And that's very impressive to me.
I also have to add Ryan Gosling is in the movie.
And that is
very good.
That's a plus.
This is good. The funny story about that is when Levi was buying the book for me, he told me about this. One of his friends saw that he had the regular copy that kind of looks like that. And he said, "Why are you doing that? There's a Ryan Gosling copy available." Until he made Levi go back and get it. In fact, we got it right here. Here it is, Ryan Gosling himself on the front of my book. So I don't spend very long looking at this. But
when you do, it's a good time.
yeah. Awesome. Well, let's get into it. Also, we're kind of going to use the book to talk about the themes that are both in the book and the movie, but they're similar. So if you're trying to think about the movie, this hopefully will help. Yes, I'm sorry, but a lot of the livestock will die, and it's worse than that. On land, crops will fail. The food we eat will become scarce. When that happens, the social order often breaks down, and I stopped myself there. These were kids. Why was I going this far? How? Abby began. I'd never seen her at a loss for words. How long before this happens? Climatologists think it'll happen within the next 30 years, I said. Just like that, all the kids relaxed. 30 years? Trang laughed. That's forever. It's not that long, I said, but to a bunch of 12 and 13-year-olds, 30 years may as well be a million. Can I be on Tracy's team for the rock sorting assignment? Asked Michael. 30 years. I looked out at all their little faces. In 30 years, they'd all be in their early 40s. They would bear the brunt of it all, and that wouldn't be easy. These kids were going to grow up in an idyllic world and be thrown into an apocalyptic nightmare. They were the generation that would experience the 6th extinction event. I felt a cramp in the pit of my stomach. I was looking out at a room full of children, happy children, and there was a good chance that some of them would literally die of starvation. I stammered. I have to go to a thing. Forget the rock assignment. What? Asked Luther. Do study hall. This is study hall for the rest of the hour. Just do homework from the other classes. Stay in your seats and work quietly until the bell rings. I left the room without another word. I almost collapsed in the hall from the shakes. I went to a nearby drinking fountain and splashed water on my face. Then I took a deep breath, got some self-control back, and jogged to the parking lot. I drove fast, way too fast. I ran red lights, cut people off. I never do any of that. But this day was different. This day was, I don't even know. I screeched into the parking lot and left my car parked at an odd angle. 2 U.S. Army soldiers were at doors to the complex, just as they had been the previous 2 days while I'd been working there. I stormed past them. Should we have stopped him? I heard one of them ask the other. I didn't care what the response was. I stomped into the observation room. Strat was there, of course, reading from her tablet. She looked up, and I caught a glimpse of genuine surprise on her face. Dr. Grace, what are you doing here? Past her, through the windows, I spotted 4 people in containment suits working in the lab. Who are they? I said, pointing at the window. And what are they doing in my lab? Can't say I like your tone, she said. I don't care. And it's not your lab, it's my lab. They're collecting the astrophage. What are you going to do with it? She held her tablet under her arm. Your dream is coming true. I'm dividing up the astrophage and sending it to 30 different labs around the world. Everything from CERN to the CIA bioweapons facility. The CIA has a bioweapon... I began. Never mind. I want to do more work on this. She shook her head. You've done your part. We thought it was in Hydra's life. It turns out it wasn't. You proved that. And since no alien exploded out of your chest, we consider the guinea pig phase over too. So, you're done. No, I'm not. There's a lot more to learn. I just have to say, when I was first reading it, I know that something is good if I get this warm feeling and the little tinglies in the eyes. That clip gave me the eye tingles. This goes on till the point that he saves Rocky, and it's at the very end of the book. I held my head up high. Maybe I will go home someday. Maybe I'll find out for sure. He lives on Arid at this point. But not right now. Right now, I've got work to do. I step into the chamber, and 1/5 of the room is my Earth environment. The other side of the divider wall has 30 little iridians bouncing around like idiots. Each one is no more than 30 Earth years old. An Earth-like organ keyboard sits in the center of my area, oriented such that the operator faces the kids. The organ has quite a few more options than a typical keyboard found on Earth. I can apply inflection, tone, mood, and all the other little intricacies of spoken language. I settle into the comfortable chair, crack my knuckles, and start class. All right, I play. Everyone settle down and get into your seats. Yeah, I was playing the organ. They scamper into their assigned desks and sit quietly, ready for the lesson to begin. Who here can tell me the speed of light? 12 kids raised their claws. I just realized it's kind of fun that the theme about him and kids is kind of at the beginning and the end kind of a thing, sandwiched, where most of the book doesn't talk about how much he loves being a teacher, but it really is his big thing. The book reads so well that I understand everything that he's talking about. I think that's kind of a fun detail, that he's a really good teacher and you understand everything.
Yeah. And I like the idea of it giving him the sense of purpose. Like, I don't know, it never outright says it, but I feel like part of, there are multiple things that go into it, but part of what motivates him in the end to stay on air at least a little bit longer, you know, I like it, that's kind of left open-ended, is him feeling this sense of purpose and teaching. His love and care for his students was enough to motivate him to work further on this project.
Yeah.
But maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but later in the book, when he's not willing to sacrifice himself, it shows that there's like a limit to that. Like, he does love them, and they do ground him to an extent, but not enough for him to be willing to like fully commit, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It's one of the themes that they talk about in the movie at the beginning of it too. And I never connected that this is the same idea. They talk about how bravery doesn't come from your ability to do something, but instead it comes from your willingness to do something for someone. Do you remember how they phrased that?
Not exact. I remember like he makes some joke about like, oh, I don't have the bravery gene like you do. And then I think it's Captain Meow is like, oh, it's not a gene. It's just about having somebody to be brave for, something like that.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what it was. He is always motivated to help those around him. And it kind of shows something about his character that he likes to give. He has this whole thing about how he gets in a fight with the people at the institutions before he becomes a school teacher about a disagreement. And it shows that he's smart, but it also shows that his purpose isn't to be right, but he's most successful when his purpose is to be good to others. And that's not a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. See, the consequence of me not recording this the second I finished the book is there are things about the book that I had kind of forgotten about. So do you remember the whole thing with the students and him like being motivated by them? Does that come into play in like the present day element of it?
Not really, honestly. And he more thinks about doing it for Earth at that point. I would even say when he leaves the presence of the kids and Strap forces him to come to the boat, he almost never thinks or talks about the kids.
Yeah, that's interesting because it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, that there's a limit to an extent. Like, he does love these kids and he wants them to have a good future, but it's not like the sole focus of everything that he's doing, which not only makes him feel a little bit more flawed, but I also feel like it makes him a little bit, at least to me, feel like more real.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of things going on, so it makes sense that you wouldn't be thinking about him as often, like especially when he's in space. There's so much stuff going on up there. Right.
I do like that it was his call to adventure, was taking care of the kids. And in the end, that was what he wanted his life to be, was you could see that this was just a part of him that he gained strength from knowing what his purpose was. His purpose was to teach, to give what he had to others. So let's put purpose as one of the main gifts from this package. Again, the chalkboard is for me. I love this. Awesome. Do you want to do the next one?
I can do the next one. I need to remind myself which. So it's that one, and then him deciding to go back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this packet is going to deal with the idea of kind of what we were talking about before, his willingness to self-sacrifice, and earlier in his timeline, the lack thereof. This is kind of the conclusion of the flashbacks, where he realizes that unlike what he'd been convincing himself for the whole story, he wasn't this brave, selfless hero who was willing to throw away his life. He was forced into the mission, and he was selfishly trying to save himself. A Russian soldier stood in one corner of the room, not exactly at attention, but not relaxed either. I'm not doing an accent, by the way.
Okay.
Hello, Dr. Grace, Strat said without looking up. She pointed to the soldier. That's Private
Mechnikov.
Mechnikov, thank you. I should have read this beforehand. That's Private Mechnikov. Even though we know the explosion was an accident, the Russians aren't taking any chances. I looked at the soldier. So he's here to make sure imaginary terrorists don't kill you? Something like that. She looked up. So it's 5 o'clock. Have you made a decision? Are you going to be the Hail Mary science specialists? I sat opposite her. I couldn't meet her gaze. No. She scowled at me. I see. It's, the kids. I should stay here for the kids. I squirmed in my seat. Even if the Hail Mary finds the answer, we're going to have almost 30 years of misery. Uh-huh, she said. And, well, I'm a teacher. I should teach. We need to raise a strong, solid generation of survivors. Right now we're soft. You, me, the whole Western world. We're the result of growing up in unprecedented comfort and stability. It's the kids of today that'll have to make the world of tomorrow work, and they're going to inherit the mess. I can really do a lot more by preparing the kids for the world that's to come. I should stay here on Earth where I'm needed. On Earth, she repeated, where you're needed. Yeah. As opposed to on the Hail Mary, where you could be instrumental in solving the entire problem because you're completely trained for the task. It's not like that, I said. I mean, it's a little like that, but look, I'm no good on a crew. I'm not some intrepid explorer. Oh, I know, she said. She clenched her fist and looked to the side for a moment. If you really cared so much about the children, you'd get on that ship without hesitation. You could save billions of them from the apocalypse instead of preparing hundreds of them for it. I shook my head. It's not about that. Do you think I don't know you, Dr. Grace? She yelled. You're a coward, and you always have been. You abandoned a promising scientific career because people didn't like a paper you wrote. You retreated to the safety of children who worship you for being the cool teacher. You don't have a romantic partner in your life because that would mean you might suffer heartbreak. You avoid risk like the plague. I stood up. Okay, it's true. I'm afraid. I don't want to die. I'm not going, and that's final. Get the next person on the list. That Paraguayan, is that how you?
Yeah, Paraguayan.
I've never said that word out loud. Paraguayan chemist. She wants to go. She slammed her fist on the table. I don't care who wants to go. I care who's most qualified. Dr. Grace, I'm sorry, but you are going on that mission. I know you're afraid. I know you don't want to die, but you're going. You're out of your darn mind. I'm leaving now. I turned to the door. Mechnikov, she shouted. The soldier deftly stepped between me and the door. I turned back to her. You have got to be kidding. Would have been easier if you just said yes. What's your plan? I jerked a thumb at the soldier. Hold me at gunpoint for 4 years during the trip? You'll be in a coma during the trip.
Savage. I just want to point out really fast that I thought it was interesting how Grace was calling him all these things that I just assumed when I read it were true, but they're actually kind of not. Like the fact that he retreated to the safety of children who worship him for being a cool teacher. I don't think that's actually true. And
there could be a shred of truth to it, but I don't think it's like his ultimate motivator, because we see from the beginning that we read before and from the end where he's on Arid that he really does love being a teacher, finds purpose in it. He is to an extent a coward, but not quite as much of a coward as she's making him out to be.
Mm-hmm. We should also point out that after he wakes up from this, it's really interesting because he doesn't really care. He just...
I'm glad you brought that up because I always forgot about it. That was genuinely one of my favorite parts of the book, was that it was not some like cliche, like him having this crisis over the fact that he was forced into this or that he wasn't really a hero. Because at this point, after everything he'd been through, who cares? It did not matter to him. And he was like, I got crap to get done. This does not matter. And I thought that was cool. And this next little segment will...
Sorry, I just wanted courage for that one.
Thank you, because I forgot. This next little bit will play with that more, because this is after he has figured out that the Tau amoeba, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The Tau amoeba that they've bred to resist nitrogen has also unintentionally been bred to be able to get through the xenonite that Rocky creates that is making up basically everything. Partly on the Hail Mary and especially on Rocky's ship. So he got it taken care of on the Hail Mary, but he's realizing that Rocky is going to be essentially stranded. He's smart, so surely he has the fuel compartmentalized. But those compartments are made out of xenonite, right? Yeah. 3 days. If the ship were damaged, he'd fix it. There's nothing Rocky can't fix. And he works fast, 5 arms whipping around, often doing unrelated things. He could be dealing with a massive Taumoeba infection, but how long would that take? He has plenty of nitrogen. He can harvest as much as he wants from his amoeba atmosphere. Let's assume he did that as soon as he noticed the contagion. How long would it take him to get things back online? Not this long. Whatever may have happened, if the Blip A could be fixed, he would have fixed it by now. The only explanation for it still being dead in space is that it has no fuel. He wasn't able to stop the Taumoeba in time. I put my head in my hands. I can go home. I really can. I can return and spend the rest of my life a hero. Statues, parades, etc. And I'll be in a new world order where all energy problems are solved. Cheap, easy, renewable energy everywhere, thanks to Astrophage. I can track down Strat and tell her to shut it. But then Rocky dies. And more importantly, Rocky's people die. Billions of them. I'm this close. I just need to survive 4 years. Yeah, I'll be eating a nasty coma slurry, but I'll be alive. My annoying logical mind points out the other option. Launch the Beatles, all 4 of them, each with their own Taumoeba mini farm and a USB stick full of data and findings. Earth scientists will take it from there. Then turn the Hail Mary around, find Rocky, and take him home to Arid. One problem. It means I die. I have enough food to survive the trip to Earth, or I have enough to survive the trip to Arid. But even if the Iridians refuel the Hail Mary right away, I'd have to make the trip back to Earth from Arid. I'll only have a few months of food left at that point. I can't grow anything. I don't have any viable seeds or living plant matter. I can't eat Iridian food. Too many heavy metals and other major toxins. So that's what I'm left with. Option 1, go home a hero and save all of humanity. Option 2, go to Arid, save an alien species, and starve to death shortly after. I pull on my hair. I sob into my hands. It's cathartic and exhausting. All I see when I close my eyes is Rocky's dumb carapace and his little arms always fidgeting with something.
Literally the perfect life he would have wanted before he came on the Hail Mary. You know, he was too afraid to die, but the perfect life that he could have ever had. And he had to choose between that and what he'd found out there in space with his friends.
Yeah. In the movie, it's brushed over a lot faster. They could have given it a little bit more weight, but I don't hate the way
I don't hate it either.
it was done in the movie, because it almost feels like a slightly different take on it. Where it was because of everything that he'd been through, because of the relationship that he'd spent with Rocky, like, it was difficult for him and he was frustrated by the decision, but he really, like, the vibe that the movie gives off is it wasn't really much of a decision for him.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, yeah, this sucks. I really wish I could have gone home, but like, of course I'm going to go save Rocky kind of thing. We saw this together, by the way, and I'm pretty sure, like, before we even left the theater, I was commenting, there's one very brief shot that I loved in the movie. He has a whiteboard that he's been writing stuff down on, and that's kind of how the movie exposits some of the things that the book narrates, right?
Yeah.
Him trying to figure out his past and figure out his motivations and everything. And it's like at the top, he has this big "Who am I?" and trying to figure out, like, if, like, you know, if he's a hero, who he's doing this for, who he's willing to sacrifice for, all this stuff. And he, after this big reveal where his memory of his cowardice essentially comes back to him, we have him making this decision, and you see him go up to that whiteboard and not even hesitate and just erase all of this stuff that he'd been writing, trying to figure out who he is, and then just start, like, drawing out a chart and, like, making plans to go save Rocky.
That's actually,
And I felt like there was so much subtle storytelling in just that scene.
yeah.
That, like, this problem of, like, him, who he was not really important to him anymore. But in the fact that it wasn't really important to him, it kind of answered that question of who he was, who he had become over the course of this journey, and specifically through his friendship with Rocky.
So I was just with this friend of mine that we're not like the closest, but we're friends. And so we haven't gotten to talk much about stuff like this. And he was telling me that he was looking to understand who he was. And that's exactly what he said. He said, I figured it out when I realized that I am what I choose to be. And he chooses to be the type of person that, well, Ryland Grace chooses to be the type of person that is going to go and save his friend. He learned to value what is good over himself. And it's simple, but I love it. I love seeing that. I think that a lot of movies and books and things like that don't deliver on this concept often enough.
Rango delivers on it. Spoiler for a future episode. Spoiler for the future. It was a little teaser full.
Oh, he started talking about Rango.
I will find every opportunity I can to talk about Rango. Going back to the theme that we were talking about with his motivation with the children and how it pushed him to get involved in the project, but it wasn't enough to push him to be willing to sacrifice himself. And that whole thing in the movie where they talk about, being brave is about having somebody to be brave for. I love how that's paid off, and we see that he does establish a connection where he is willing to be brave for somebody. And it feels very believable. Like the relationship that he builds with Rocky feels so genuine. And the fact that Rocky doesn't even look humanoid by any stretch of the imagination, I think really just furthers how much I like that. Because it just seems like it shouldn't work. It's this weird little rock crab spider and just like a normal human man. And they develop such like a meaningful and believable relationship. You buy every second of it. They get on each other's nerves and drive each other crazy. And
it's really funny.
And it doesn't ever feel like they are like jeopardizing their friendships when they do like bicker or when Rocky's annoying Grace or anything. Like you never feel like, oh man, this is gonna slow down the development of their relationship, because it's just deeper than that, which again is something that I feel like feels very real, because real friends drive each other crazy all the time. Exhibit A and B, my fear. But when you have like a really meaningful friendship, that does not really impact it at all. And I just love the way that we see that here. And so it makes in this scene where he does decide to go and save Rocky, it's a payoff to earlier where he didn't have anyone he was willing to sacrifice for, and now he does. And again, it feels very earned.
And I think that was one thing that Strat said that was true, is she was like, you don't have any friends, and you don't actually have anybody that you really care for because you're too scared of what that would be like. And he does say that later on. He's like, I actually don't have any friends. And in a way, that is development from who he was. Like, he was alone and he was too afraid to make friends. And so becoming a teacher was like, yes, that was people he cared about, but really, did he actually care about them that much?
It only went so far.
Yeah. And this shows like development in like he was willing to actually get to know somebody on a deeper level and actually like, be there for them.
Right. And I think that's something, again, maybe you can correct me, because it's been a couple months since I read the book. You'd think I wouldn't forget this much in that time. I feel like the movie leaned a little bit more into the idea of like his feeling of loneliness and solitude.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No, he was never lonely in the book. It never even said that, I don't think. Maybe like at the beginning.
Maybe, I don't remember. But like when he realizes that the other two crewmates are dead, like a big part of why that's so devastating to him is because he just feels completely alone.
Yeah.
And like he has no idea what he's doing, which is kind of true. And it's interesting where initially he feels this feeling of solitude. And then like as he gets his memory back, I think he subconsciously realizes that Earth isn't going to be that different for him, because he didn't really have any meaningful connections there. Like, yeah, he would have like somebody to interact with, which he, outside of Rocky, didn't have out there, but still like it wasn't going to be that different.
Mm-hmm.
The movie leaning it more into that idea, I think, strengthens the idea of this relationship between Rocky and Grace. And it also emphasizes that with Rocky too, that Rocky was also very alone and was struggling with that. That also helped with his decision to go save Rocky, because he didn't have anything on Earth. Well, yeah. The one like meaningful relationship he did have in his life was the one out there who was about to die.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. They say the most effective way to lose weight is to enjoy eating healthy. And I think that's fairly true, is to enjoy what's good more than being selfish. I'll I'll do my pistol track. I'm just gonna say, others cause bravery or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bravery from others. That sounds better.
It does sound better. There are a plethora of reasons why he is the chalk person and I'm not. One of them is handwriting. I'm just realizing that as I'm watching him write.
I doubt that they can even read this.
Probably not, but I can and it looks nice. Just see, if you can't read it, take my word for it. It looks nice.
Read better.
Yeah. Gosh, get some glasses.
Seriously. Anyway, this is mine. This package is called Friendship, and it's cute. And
Friendship is cute.
Let's go down on the cute thing. I hobble in. It's one of the similar meeting rooms, really only suitable for a one-on-one conversation, but it's our go-to spot for meeting up. Oh, by the way, this is when Ryland is on Arid, and he's in his dome, and Rocky comes to visit him. Rocky waits for me on the Iridian side. Finally, I've been waiting for Cursive L Lambda minutes. What took you so long?
This part of the book uses Iridian numbers that don't really translate into English, so we're going to do our best.
We're trying our best. I can understand Iridian fluently now, of course, and Rocky is equally fluent in English comprehension. I'm old. Give me a break. It takes me a while to get ready in the morning. Oh, you had to eat, right? Rocky says with a tinge of disgust in his voice. You told me not to talk about that in polite company. I'm not polite company, my friend. I snicker. So, what's up? He wiggles and jiggles. I've almost never seen him this excited. I just heard from the astronomy hive. They have news. I hold my breath. Sol. It's about Sol. Yes, he squeaks. Your star has returned to full luminance. I gasp. Are you sure? Like 100% certainty? Yes. The data was analyzed by a thrum of Lambda v Lambda astronomers. It checks out. I can't move. I can hardly breathe. I start to tremble. It's over. We won. We did it. Rocky cocks his carapace. Hey, your face is leaking. I haven't seen that in a long time. Remind me, does that mean you're happy or sad? 'Cause it can mean either one, right? I'm happy, of course. I sob. Yeah, I thought so. Just checking. He holds a ballad claw against the Xenonite. Is this fist my bum situation? I press my knuckles to the Xenonite as well. This is a monumentally epic fist bump situation. I guess your scientist got it right, he says. If you account for the same time it took your beetles to get there and for the travel time for light to get from Sol to Arid, I think it took less than one of your Earth years to get it done. I nod. It's still sinking in. So, will you go home now, or will you stay? I don't know. I'm getting old, and the trip is long. Speaking from a selfish perspective, I hope you stay, but that is just me. Rocky, that news about Sol, it makes my whole life have meaning, you know? I still can't. I started sobbing again. Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to be the one to tell you.
See, that's one of the things I love about this book and movie is it just feels good.
Mm-hmm.
But still,
Some might call it a feel-good movie. Is that?
you're right. Some might call it that.
This is a monumental.
And it shows that you can have something that's lighthearted and optimistic and positive and still have it have a lot of weight and a lot of meaning and be just a valuable work of art, which seems obvious, but I feel like a lot of people are like afraid to commit to that.
Yeah, people think if they're not doing something that's never been done before or just being like absurdly grumpy, then their movie doesn't count as good. And I think that it's oftentimes in like the simple movies that you find stuff that's really amazing.
I somewhat infamously always say that I like my media and my art to hurt me. I love things that are just like emotionally devastating and painful. That's why spoiler for later, I guess, one of my favorite stories ever is Attack on Titan. That is not a feel-good story.
I don't know, but
I mean, it has like
some feel-good aspects.
one moment a season, probably. And so this is a good reminder for me that not every bit of media needs to be dark and painful to intake, and that it can just be positive and hopeful and still make a big impact on me, because this, like, just reading this book was a very like impactful experience for me in a way that I don't even know if I can articulate beyond what I've already said in this podcast.
I was happy.
But yeah, it's just a good book. It's just cool.
I had a very similar realization to you, because we've been, I've been reading The Way of Kings, I've been reading Lord of the Rings, and all of these really like deep bravado kind of books. I don't know, bravado is a word to
Very dense too.
Yeah, dense. Yeah. And this showed me that there's a lot of value in the things in that, like I said before, just there's a lot of value in stuff like this. The reason we wanted to include that last package was that friendship is one of the most powerful concepts. Really, it's one of the most meaningful concepts. And it's just cute to see these two people who became friends and to see the journey that they went on with each other. But it's important. It's important that you learn to find friends. And one of the other themes was that, Ryland was afraid to find friends. And when he finally found one, it was what he needed. And so maybe taking the courage to actually find somebody you can really open your heart to.
Yeah, and I think there's something beautiful about the fact that, this is a book about hopeless space mission, like hundreds of light years away. I guess not hundreds of light, a long ways away, like out in the middle of nowhere. It's a suicide mission. It's a galactic apocalypse, and yet like the main core of the story is friendship.
Yeah.
And again, it shows the power of some of the simple things, because friendship is a very simple thing, I think. Hopefully.
Obviously, it does get complicated.
It does get complicated, but at its core, it's a simple element of life that even 5-year-olds understand. But it is a very meaningful and important part of life that gives us power, like what Ryland experienced, where he found bravery through this relationship he established with Rocky, and it just gives meaning into our life. He stayed on Arid because he had meaning and purpose there, not just in teaching these kids, but in his friendship with Rocky, and I assume with other Iridians that he met along the way.
Yeah. This would be the moment if we were one of those cheesy podcasts where we just like get up and hug each other.
We're not gonna.
I'm not gonna do that. No. As much as I would like to finish off by saying we should prioritize friendship.
Friendship is cool.
And with that, that's all that we have, I would say. Let me finish writing this. Okay. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you around.
See ya.